Welcome to the Sterling vs. Podcast, a roundtable media showcase for video game-based projects and other inspired creativity. I'm your host, Silva.
I am the second host, Azu, and
I'm the shiny host, Tony.
That's right, he's the shiny one. He's the rare one. You can't find him very often. He's like a very small percentage chance you dig through the grass, and there he is.
That's right, I'm everywhere.
It took several hours to find Tony tonight. It's pretty hard.
Funny enough, because he was here before all of us. And I appreciate you guys for showing up in this spooky, it's not a spooky episode, but
It can be if you want to.
we can make it, we can cue the spooky music.
I see what you're doing. I see where you're pulling this, Silva. You're riffing. I see what you're riffing.
Yeah, I'm creating ambiance. All right. I mean, we've got great music probably already playing from our great musician, YMRED, which I've got to give big shouts because he's been providing all our background music for the past couple episodes, and will continue to do so because it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
He's a pro.
Yeah, totes.
I love you.
Hope to maybe interview him on the show someday. That would be fun because
that would be fantastic.
I'll get into the mind of this great musician. But yeah, it is the Halloween season, but it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I don't know if you guys were familiar with that.
Correct.
And funny enough,
that is absolutely correct.
Funny enough, today, just this morning, I had to hop on this. Retrobit is releasing special pink controllers for the Sega Genesis and the Sega Saturn.
That's right.
Both the original ports and the USB port versions with the Game Pink emblem on it. Basically, it's specifically to raise money and awareness for breast cancer. And it's for a good cause. Pre-order just went up live at 10 a.m. today. I got on that. I ordered one for myself and a friend, and it looks good to me, you know. But I
mostly
did it.
Of pink, I would say, and it's like
it doesn't look.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, and in case anybody needed any clarification for any of the controller heads out there, like me, for anybody out there, it's specifically the Genesis 6-button controller, so not the big old crescent roll, but the little smaller one. It's more like a boomerang. And then the Model 2 Saturn controller, but I guess you didn't need that explanation or anything, considering that's the most common one. The Model 1, you never see that one. That's like a big old transformer kind of chunk. But yeah, so both of those were released today, and Silva went ahead and got them, only to find out just not too long afterward that I had pre-ordered a Bluetooth version of the Sega Saturn Retrobit controller. So now he has to put up with the dilemma of does he want to get that one as well, because it's Bluetooth and it works on PC, Steam, Mac, Switch, PS3, and anything that takes Bluetooth, essentially, including phones, of course. So that's a pretty dope controller, and I was looking into getting it for a good while. I was going to wait until they came out with the Dreamcast controller, but Retrobit is infamous for taking 100 million years to release anything, so I went ahead and did. What were you going to say?
Most likely, I am probably still going to get that Bluetooth controller, because their Retrobit is teaming up with Limited Run for this pre-release, and they don't take cancellations, so yeah. I'm in it. And interesting to note, because I'm looking at their page, and it was a little confusing because despite the Genesis controller being 6-button, the USB version of that comes with 8 buttons, and I'm like, oh, okay.
They added L&R buttons to the sides of it, which I forgot to mention. That's pretty cool. And initially, I was thinking about getting a Genesis controller instead, but there's 2 reasons why I decided against it. One, because those L&R buttons are really shallow on the Genesis one from what I've seen in reviews, which isn't quite a bad thing. That's good for people who want really digital, like L&R triggers and nothing else. So that's good for them. And I mean, like, of course, but these are like really shallow because, you know, the Genesis wasn't built with an L&R button in mind.
It was not.
And while I do dig the idea of having L&R buttons on that shape, almost a little bit more than the Saturn one, I had to get the Saturn one just because, first of all, I'm sure the L&R is more comfy on there, and second of all, the colors on the Saturn controller, in particular the Japanese one, where like the A, B, and C and as well as the L&R buttons are all colorful, while the rest are whitish, grayish, whatever. Either it's really appealing to look at. I kind of wish that they made a retrobit Saturn controller that was strictly the Japanese version, because that is the Japanese colors, but they don't have the Japanese white controller. I really wish they would make that in the Bluetooth and USB forms from retrobit, but they don't. They just make the translucent one, so I'll take that, I guess.
Our resident controller head.
Yeah.
The translucent ones, it's like crystal blue or something and slate gray, I think.
Yeah, slate gray. Slate gray is the one that I got because it's very nice.
It does look very good. I had to jump in on that. So I'm getting that and this pink, and Azu's on that controller train, and he's brought me along, and I already have like another. I didn't realize at the time, but it is a Saturn controller. It's the Play Sega one that I saw in a tweet. What?
Oh, that little thing, the little Play Sega.
Yeah, the Play Sega one. I got that a while ago.
Yeah,
I got it.
But apparently they're way cheaper builds, and they're not as good. But
oh yeah, it felt really light. I'm like, I don't know if this is based on anything. This is before I knew like what it was supposed to be, because I got it like I think before Mania came out, and I was like, I saw it in a tweet by the composer of Mania, because he had that like on his screen. He had that, and I was like, I want that controller. It's so adorable. And I had to like look it up, and I found it. I was like, it's like, I think it was like $12, and I was like, I just got it. It's mostly just to look at. It looks neat. Looks cute. And I was like, this is gonna be the controller, because it's USB. So I'm like, this is gonna be the controller I play Mania with. And I'll just leave that at that, because none of that ever happened.
Yep. Okay. It sure didn't. We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna talk about it.
We're not. But the point is, controllers are pretty cool. You should get one to play your favorite games today.
To not play your favorite games today.
Man, I love it. All I've been doing this entire time is just waving my hands at the TV, hoping something happens.
Oh, by the way, just as an aside, and I know nobody at home will be able to see this, but that's what the white one looks like, and I wish it was an USB or Bluetooth version. That looks so clean. Ooh.
I see. That looks pretty close to the Play Sega one I have. So,
yeah.
I think I'm pretty happy with my decision.
I wish
Again,
that this was
light.
I wish that they just made Bluetooth versions of this exact one, because man, would I be on it. I love those colors.
That's a good color.
Sure is.
Go ahead and tweet at them. If you're listening, you can look up the Japanese Sega Saturn controller and be like, wow, Retrobit, can you do this? Can you do these colors? Because this does look pretty dang slick.
It looks dope.
Retrobit, please do it if you're listening. Though you're probably mad at me because I complain too much about how long you take to make things. So, I'm sorry.
but for perfection, we shouldn't rush it. Because especially like a Dreamcast controller. Well,
I want my Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, so do I. I want my Dreamcast controller.
Look, the Dreamcast controller that they're making has 6 face buttons. They added 2 more face buttons. And then they replaced the D-pad on the regular Dreamcast controller with the Genesis and Sega Saturn D-pad. So it's like the perfect Dreamcast controller. The only thing it's missing is a right stick, but they never had one for the Dreamcast, so I guess they don't need it. But anyways, that's nearly perfect, and I want it now. And they said it was coming out fall this year. Guess what's passed? The window that they said it was going to come out. So
it'll come out at the end of November. It'll be like surprise Dreamcast for Christmas.
It will come out the end of November, 2020, and I can about guarantee it.
what? You know what will come this year? These Retrobit controllers. Get your hands on them and play some of your favorite PC games. Some of which we're gonna jump right into. Deep dive right into Sage 2019 to pick up where we left off. We're gonna talk about some more games we didn't get to last time and some new games we might have gotten our hands on. So I'm gonna throw this virtual basketball over to Azu.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up in this final third episode covering content about the Sonic Amateur Games Expo 2019. I know some of y'all at home, all 1.5 of you that is listening to us, please keep listening, are probably like, tell your friends, are ultimately tired of hearing about the Sonic Amateur Games Expo because we've been talking about it for 100 years.
But to our credit, we kind of need to do that because that is absolutely, we talk about the indie stuff.
Right, that's what we're here for. At the same time, though, still, regardless, it's good to talk about these things, and I'm glad to talk about these things, so we will. And we have just a few more games that we were going to discuss, so it's time to talk about them right now. In particular, 2 3D ones that left quite a bit of waves amongst the Sonic fan base.
I would love to hear about these, Azu. Why don't you go ahead and...
We should get to them, but also I'm wondering, should we go ahead and get to a few of these other ones first? I'm wondering, which one should it be? Pick.
Let's spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel of morality. Turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
Thank you.
I want to go for these extra... I want to build up to these 2 big 3D games, so I want to talk about these other games first.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Well, I guess it's going to fall on to me. So here's a small one. So let's talk about Carlos and Maria.
Okay.
So Carlos and Maria, it is a game there you play as either Carlos or Maria. These are 2, fan characters that take the stage at the core of the fan game. You control them. They give you a little tutorial level at the beginning, and then once you're done, you are put into a series of boss battles versus not Eggman, who you ride, alongside the Sonic 2 rocket to get to the space station. He just kind of disappears, however, and in his place is Splatoon 2's Pearl for some reason.
Yeah,
and
nice.
She taunts you a bit, and then you decide apparently that it's time to fight Pearl from Splatoon 2. And the controls are a little difficult considering that there was no gamepad support, at least none that I could find. So I had to use the actual keyboard to run around, pick up bombs, figure out how to throw them, which I kind of struggled with for a little bit. And you do have a health bar, I believe, so you can take 3 hits before you die. And considering that this is a boss rush, that's kind of hard. They had it set so that when you fought, you wouldn't immediately get kicked out and start all over again, thank God. But you would respawn in the fight. So, I mean, you can keep going until you're out of lives. However, I don't know if there's a way to find other bosses. There were only 2 that I could face in that one. One of them was like a kind of a modified version of the Starlight Zone boss, where you had to pick up a bomb after it fell and throw him onto Pearl's ship. And then there was another one that almost seemed to take a bit of inspiration from the Lava Reef boss, where Eggman was hovering in the background shooting missiles at you, except in this case, it was splat bombs and like ink missiles. And you had to make sure you didn't get hit, and that was very, very difficult to do because the ink missiles had a range that was ridiculously huge. And that was it. The thumbnail seems to suggest that you'd be facing a version of like the Kyodai Egg Robo or whatever from Sonic & Knuckles, but a pink one, and I never saw that one, so I don't know if there was a way, if I didn't take any damage when I see different bosses or whatever like that. It seemed like Carlos and Maria didn't really have any changes as far as whether their runs were particularly different. But, it was fun, really difficult. I don't know if I would find myself playing an entire game of that. but I do give it points for being, as I put it here in my notes, the kind of fan game weirdness that you can really only find here at Sage. So, you know, commendations for that.
and minus points for not being able to use one of these lovely retrobit Saturn or Sega Genesis controllers to play this game, and instead
nice segue back into the last topic.
Nice segue.
I mean,
backwards.
you've got to do your best to support breast cancer awareness, so please go pre-order from the 18th to the 31st your retrobit controllers.
Nice.
Back to you, Tony.
I mean, I'm going to pass the ball to Azu because I finished mine.
Oh
first
yeah,
topic.
let's talk about some other stuff real quick. All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and get a Sonic one out of the way. We do have one or two indie ones from my end, but we also have Sonic GT or Sonic Grand Tour. This game was kind of like released in various forms of demos over the past year or so. And a lot of people have been huge fans of this game. I've seen a lot of people say, "Is this the ideal 3D Sonic game?" Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, TM, and make YouTube videos about it by the dozen from all kinds of Sonic think piece YouTubers that I do not condone ever watching. But yeah, so I've seen this game around a long time, and it just got its final demo released before, I guess, a final release of sorts would come in the oncoming months or year or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it just got its final demo here at Sage this year, and I gave it a shot. Ultimately, I like it. I think that in regards of what a 3D Sonic game has to offer, it's not really what I'm looking for, though. Because it's like it's a bit too fast for my taste. It's like... It's like it wants to have the speed of a boost game, but also have the moveset of a classic / adventure Sonic game, and I feel like that feels too much like a loose canon of a game to play.
That does seem that we think we talked a little bit about this behind the scenes too, as far as like a lot of these games really seem like really fast. Not that I dog on it too much myself, but I mean, it is. I usually kind of prefer to be toned down a little bit, personally.
Yeah, I mean, people tend to believe that Sonic needs to be really fast now, and that's mostly because the past decade we've gotten most of the games in the series to be the boost games. The Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, Sonic Forces, all these games feature the boost, and you're blasting off at like 300 miles an hour at an instant, so the game features levels that you just blast through at max speed. So everybody's kind of like norm for how fast they see Sonic is supposed to go has kind of become adjusted to those games. So now every Sonic fan game features Sonic moving at blistering, maniacally fast speeds. I don't really see the point in that too terribly much. I think that while everybody's become obsessed with the gotta go fast mantra, I think my answer is gotta go mild, go moderate, gotta go moderate speed. That's the motto for me. Go at a moderate. Do it up, but just enough to be just not too fast, just a pleasant, good, flowy speed. This game, however, is fun. I wouldn't say it's not fun. It's just not for me, ultimately, when it comes down to like what I want out of Sonic. I don't really want to play a game where Sonic is moving at light speed constantly, because then the level is just flying past you, and when you're in a floaty engine like the engine it's made in, which is the bumper engine or hedge physics, whatever you want to call it, it's an engine made in Unity by Lake Fapard, the guy that made the Sonic Before the Sequel, after the sequel games. And Spark the Electric Jester, etc. That's Spark the Electric Jester, that 3D sequel that it got, or something, it's made in that same engine. But yeah, that engine, it's good for his game that he made in it, but for Sonic fan games, I find it really floaty. And whenever you have it move that fast and be that floaty, I think a lot of the level design is spent with Sonic just flying through the air and trying to find the next place to land. And I don't really consider that like the most exciting Sonic gameplay, I guess. Like, I feel like it should be much more grounded and a bit slower. So,
I mean, it's a little hard to really get a feel for the game when it feels like the game's just kind of playing you, really.
And you're kind of flying off the handle at any second, and you're really just pushing Sonic forward in the air to like the next place you land until you jump off from there and then fly another like several miles across the map.
Yeah, you trip on a rock and you just go into the stratosphere.
yeah. I mean, that really is what GT is like, and that's like I said. No knocking it because it's a I think it has well put together level design for what it's trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my kind of Sonic. It's not. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine. Anyways, pass it back to you. What were you saying, Silva?
I was gonna say it does look pretty fast. I've been watching some gameplay of it. It does seem pretty out there in terms of speed, but it does look good. Does look like it would be
that hilltop zone level is that what you were watching?
Yeah,
where it's just he just goes off a ramp and he's just gone.
Yeah, I watched a couple of minutes of that, and there's no other way to put it. It's like you hit a speed bump and then the gravity suddenly goes to like -15.
Well, that's just because of how fast they set Sonic to move and how floaty the jump mechanics are in that game. It's just that's just how it is, and I'm not big on it personally. I think like my reason why I'm not big on it is because I like to feel like you earn speed or whatever. And while this game does have momentum mechanics where Sonic does speed up when going down hills and has proper physics and whatever, and that's like one of the advertising points of Sonic GT. I feel like the fact that you accelerate so quickly to that top speed and you go way past the threshold of any sort of speed you'd really realistically need to actually go, and then that plus the floatiness makes it feel like it's not really earned as much as it is instantaneous, much like the boost games, just in a different, less automated way, I guess. So
it gives you that feeling where like, the momentum is there, but the payoff is overshadowed by the fact that soaring through the air takes precedence over everything else.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, what it succeeds at, I can tell you for certain what it succeeds at, is getting down the exhilaration and the concept of how fast the boost games make you go, but without automation. Like, it succeeds at this completely. Like that, if that's what it's aiming for, it is a success.
Yeah.
But, like...
Not your flavor at the bar.
Not me flavor. No, not at all.
Yeah. I could definitely say I preferred Z over GT, but Super wasn't that much better anyway.
Anyways, Tony. How about I just go over a couple of things? Let's go through some mini ones real quick before I fly into another one. So, XF Drive, you played it, right? Yeah, I played a little bit of it. I didn't get to play very much.
Yeah, I didn't either because every time I tried, it crashed the game. Every time I loaded up, all it would do is spawn me in a room that with blinking purple colors everywhere. Occasionally I would see a car, maybe, but it never really got past that, and the pause menu was also all just messed up anyway, so there was no real me playing that. What did you think of the game I didn't play?
Well, I'm going to be real. I didn't get to play it very much either. Not because it was crashing, but because I was having controller issues trying to get it to run. It just wasn't registering my controller inputs properly for some reason or another. And that's not to say I didn't get to play it for a little bit. I got to play with it on keyboard for just a little bit, but I didn't get very much time to toy with it. It's fun though, from what I played, and it looks really cool. So I mean, I'd love to get it set up and play it proper.
These game engines, these Unity things always seem to have issues as far as like sometimes with the controls. I'll be talking about that later when we cover Hero. But
a quick fix for that controller issue I found was to use a controller from Retrobit.
I knew it.
Specifically, if you don't have one already, which I'm surprised you don't, if anyone listening needs one, you can go on the website today, retro-bit.com/gamepink, GMEPINK, and you can pick up one of their limited edition. There's limited up to 2,000 each of the 4 versions of these National Breast Cancer Awareness sponsored controllers. It's for a good cause. 10% of all proceeds go to Game Pink, which is essentially just gamers behind raising awareness for breast cancer. So yeah, get in on that. It's controls are like $20 each. So yeah, pre-orders are open again from the 18th to the 31st. Hopefully you guys are hearing this within that window. If not,
I was going to bring up, it's already the 18th. You best hope that we're able to get these uploaded before the end of the month.
Yeah, no problem, no worries. If anything, you guys, just keep your eye on. They might have extras left over, is what I'm saying. So there's always still a chance. So do your best to check it out. If not, just hang tight. Retrobit got you covered in terms of controllers. So
wow, so I didn't know you were paid by Retrobit.
We are not paid by Retrobit. We can only hope one day. Anyway. Tossing it back to Azu.
All right, so let's see. What else do I have to talk about? Let's throw some out there.
I'm sorry. I'll take that ball back from you. I meant to give it to Tony because he was saying something.
All I was going to say was that another thing that me and Azu played. This is this thing called Breeza Budgie.
Breeza Budgie. This is a very good game.
Yeah, okay, so I started the game, it was very loud, it was not great to look at, it was hard to play because it didn't even tell me what the controls were, and I think it was trying to be a Knights, but I had no idea how to do that, and again, it was very loud and very confusing.
You just reminded me of something. I wanted to say, alright, just as an off on the side or whatever, this game was kind of poopy, but it was funny and I liked it.
Of course you did.
But I gotta say, I didn't get to play the one game I wanted to play the most. I completely forgot about Pumpkin Dog, whatever Extreme.
Pumpkin Dog Extreme.
Remember when we were talking about that game? The game that looks like similarly like low budget / detail game like Breezy Budgie, except it's about Pumpkin Dog thing with a cannon on his back or something.
I think I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, it looked like the best game ever invented just because the name was the best thing ever invented. So I didn't get to play that one and I'm very upset and I'm now going to cry. All right, anyways, next game on the list. What do you got, Tony? What do you got?
What do I got? Okay, now here's something. So Cosmic Bowl. Okay, this one's actually really fun to talk about. So Cosmic Bowl, it is if you got Kirby, gave him like the fighting style power up, and that was just the game with an incredible freaking like sound design. You hit stuff, you feel it. Everything sounds beat 'em up, bashy, meaty. It's chaos, it's radical, it's insane. It is the kind of game I would have probably played to death if it was on the Super Nintendo when I was growing up. Like, not even joking.
Little bash beef McPunch girder type of game.
Good, like I said, glorious sound design, great music, graphics look really good. Controls seemed a little sensitive, but even though it felt sensitive, and it was fun to do. And I mean, even if you didn't know exactly what you were doing controller wise, you still did stuff and you still made stuff happen. You had basic attacks, you could utilize a special attack that just like manic punched everything in front of you. And there's just all these little collectibles, I guess, that help with points and maybe some power up and sort of kind of thing. I don't know. It's just like every second something is happening. There's not a second that goes by where there's not a thing happening on the screen, both in look and sound. So it was kind of everywhere. I guess the closest visual equivalent that I could think of would be if you took the little star thing from Mario and Luigi 3 and gave it arms to fight with and fight really fast with it. That's Cosmic Bowl.
Good little game. I haven't played that one, though I saw a little clip of it.
This is pretty fun.
Yeah. It's like a good one.
It was a delight. What do you got for us?
All right, let's pop in a little bit about Vertebreaker. I know that you were mentioning to me off screen or off thing. What is this? Anyways, you mentioned that you didn't really jive with this one too terribly much.
Okay, I will be the unfortunate bearer of bad news. I sounded initially in like the second episode where I was like, Vertebreaker, that it looks good, it looks cool, it looks sharp, I want to play it, like that was one of the ones I was really looking forward to. And then it unfortunately was just kind of not my cup of tea. Great graphics, pop music. I didn't understand what the controls wanted me to do, and when you're just moving at base level, you are very, very, very slow for what I was expecting to be an action-packed kind of running Metroidvania kind of thing, and that's not what it was for me. So I don't know if I was just doing the controls wrong or what, but I feel like I did the game dirty.
Oh, well, okay, so here's my thing from what I played of it. Just in case nobody knows about Vertebreaker, Vertebreaker is the game being made by Headcanon Studios. It is the game being led by Stealth, one of the people that worked on Sonic Mania.
Wow, he's so good. I didn't even see him.
Yeah, stealthy.
Wow.
Anyways, yes, so thanks for listening to the joke me and Tony both made. Anyways, yes. So
we all did it together.
I've said so yes, so you can cut a lot of that. So yes. Over and over again. So yes. Vertebreaker is a game that is made by Headcanon. And it's good. I enjoyed it. I think that it is a bit hard to get the ropes with, however. Literally, the ropes. As you try to control little skeleton man who has little grapply rope bone thingy. And you got to grab onto stuff and then yank yourself everywhere with it. A little bit like Knuckles Chaotix kind of was with its tether ring mechanic. It's a lot harder to do in this game than it is in Knuckles Chaotix, and a little harder than I honestly think it should be. Whenever I first played it, I didn't really dig it at all. My first impression was not very strong. I thought that the controls weren't very intuitive. And yes, I do agree with the idea that the little skeleton man was definitely not fast enough. He was very slow. It was very hard to get to grips with things. I couldn't platform anywhere very well because I found it super tough. The difficulty curve was really high. After restarting the game and then resetting up the controls to be what I needed them to be, I had to keep fiddling with the controls because I kind of didn't have a controller that had every button input that it needed. Whoops. So I did all of that and then tried playing the game again, and I got the ropes of it a bit better the second and third go round. I think that it's a fun game. I think mechanically it's pretty sound, and the tethering around, flying around and hitting things and using the grapple to lock into things and all kinds of stuff is really fun. I do think it is a little bit too difficult to maneuver, however. I think that Vertebreaker could really use some polish in regards of streamlining the way it plays, making it simpler for the layman to pick it up and have a good time with it, because it feels like one of those things right now where for the developers who have been playing it constantly this entire time, it's probably second nature to them. But for the people who are fresh on it, playing it for the first time, it's really hard. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's just one of those things where the developers probably have to realize that it's way harder than they may intend it to be. So I do hope to see the next time it comes around that the mechanics have been streamlined a lot, hopefully. If not, I'll still probably enjoy it because I've gotten used to the way the controls are now. Whether Tony will or not really depends on whatever controller works with him or what he really gets used to or figures out about it the next time he gives it another run through. So I can't really say that it's a completely unfair assessment that Tony's giving, because while his first impression being one of his only impressions of the game wasn't great, it's still a first impression, and that's important. First impressions are really important. The game design. So,
Game design and bits.
yeah. So I personally think that Vertebreaker is a diamond in the rough, and I really think it could be something very good. Shout outs to the people who worked on that project. I know a couple of heads from Sonic Retro, or I don't know them, but I've seen their names around Sonic Retro for a good while, and I think that they're massively cool people that have always done massively cool art, and it's cool to see that they're working with Stealth on this project, which is great. So yeah, I have crossed fingers for the future of Vertebreaker at the very least. Got any more games before we start popping in those last couple? I know you played a little bit of Dreamcrafter.
I did play a little bit of Dreamcrafter. Dreamcrafter. Let me tell you about Dreamcrafter.
Tell me about Dreamcrafter.
I'll tell you about Dreamcrafter. Dreamcrafter. So, take Mario Maker. Now throw it away because Dreamcrafter is about Kirby. Fun, intuitive little level maker based off of Kirby's Adventure style. At least for right now, unless they do more, a la Mario Maker. But they give you a little test run, show you how the game works, as far as a full-fledged level that they made beforehand, so you get a demo of how everything works once it's put together. It's kind of like a little montage of different scenes and backgrounds and stuff like that, things you recognize. And then they drop you into the test maker, and yeah, it's exactly what it says on the tin. I set up little blocks that Kirby can suck up and spit out, and put enemies on the field, and it made a door, and didn't really get to do a whole lot else because it seemed like as I was working, I was only limited to 1 square per room. Even though I was expecting to be able to have some distance to, work with and make a lengthy little level, I didn't really have enough time to figure out how to do that. But I mean, it is exactly what it says on the tin. It is Dreamcrafter. It is a Kirby crafting fan game where you can build your own Kirby Adventure video game levels, and this is good.
Pretty dope, yeah.
Though by talking about it, I feel like I have put the nail in the coffin of how long it gets to stick around before Nintendo decides, ooh, a lightning bolt needs to go over here. DMCA.
Well, we'll see. In time, let's hope that they stay low-key enough to where it just doesn't kill it.
I mean, if they wanted to stay low-key, they probably shouldn't have made a presence at Sage. Just going to put that out. Really
as out in the open and super public as it is sometimes. I mean, it wasn't this year at the very least. It wasn't massive in regards of not game count. It was big in game count, but not in popularity. Like last year was way more popular than it was this year, I'd say for certain.
Right.
Let's see, what other games do we have to talk about? Let me get a quick one in there for Sonic Smackdown, which I did not play, and Tony did not play, and Silva wanted to play, but he didn't play, because Silva didn't play games.
So why in the world are we mentioning it?
Why are we mentioning it? So that people can go take a look at it. Sonic Smackdown is made by Streak Thunderstorm. He is the guy that was behind the fan game Sonic Mecha Madness several years back, which I really dug. Sonic Smackdown is a game that is essentially a Sonic fighting game in lieu of ArcSys type games, I'd say. A little bit. Yeah. Something like that. Mm-hmm. A little bit also like Capcom kind of fighting games. I know that Silva was losing his mind over it a bit back. I know I have several friends that were losing their mind over it a little bit back. I think that it is a neat idea. I'm personally not a big fan of anime-influenced Sonic stuff too terribly much, nor, not really that flavor of Sonic. That's not really my thing. But for the people who do like it, good to see it exists, and that's cool. I do think it looks stupid and ridiculous to see Shadow flipping around doing chaos beams and looking like a DBZ character, but if that's what you like, I mean, you have it. Well, there you go.
I can't wait to get my hands on it and use my 6-button controller of choice from Retrobit.
You know what? That all depends on if you even use these controllers to play any games at all. Bazinga. Anyways, Sonic Smackdown.
I'm gonna play so many games with this. I'm gonna bring up all the awareness.
I'm gonna play so many games, dude. I'm gonna play so many games.
Just you wait.
From Gravity Falls. I'm gonna play so many games, dude. Yeah. The Sonic Smackdown. Neat. I haven't played it. Tony hasn't played it. Solo hasn't played it. But you should. And it looks cool. And it still gets new builds and new stuff in it. I just recently saw where Blaze was put in the game, which is pretty neat.
That's all you really need.
I have a small nitpick about it, and it's not really their fault. It's mostly just that the character animations look really stiff and a little lifeless, and that's, again, not really their fault, because they're porting them from actual fighting games, the animations, I mean.
Right.
So, yeah, not their fault, but I feel like in a Sonic fighting games, these characters should have a lot more personality and squash and stretch their movement, because they are, in fact, rubber hose cartoon animals. Don't make it as stiff as like Sonic is sometimes conveyed to be in his most anime-y of forms. that would do a huge disservice to the Sonic aesthetic and everything, to make a fighting game that doesn't take advantage of that and instead just leaves the characters really stiff. That would suck. Anyways, I'm not gonna rag on them too much, because it's just a couple people making this game. So granted,
as an initial build and trying to establish your cast of characters and their movesets, I feel the stiffness will naturally go away as they move towards or nailing down what they're keeping and how they're keeping it. Since, as you said, they are there.
Right. The better they get, the further they get.
Yeah. I feel like by nature of porting stuff, they're trying to get it all out there fairly quickly, so they can at least establish what they're gonna have in the game, and then play around with the parameters and models and all that. Because I figure a lot of these characters are gonna have like alternate forms and all that, and that stuff they would focus on after the fact of establishing their initial movesets and all that. But it does look good, and I am gonna get my hands on it fairly soon. Trust me, especially now Blaze is in it. I gotta play as my Fire Woman.
Nice Crush 40 reference. That's not even a Crush 40 song, by the way. It's a cover.
Nice.
Did you know that? Did you know that?
Well, now I'm covering it.
Have 3 more games to cover. I'm pretty sure we're missing just a handful, right? Just a little.
I mean, I have a couple of footnotes to make, I guess.
Sure, go ahead.
I did play. You talked about Grok Crocodile last time. I got to play Grok Crocodile this time, and it is lovely sprite work, good music. I loved the NPCs, love the town segments. Like, I know you were talking about, like, it's like that classic 90s, but there's a bit much of the furry aspect as far as like some of the characters and things like that, versus me, who is very biased, and I love that stuff to death. So that's my bag. So I was down. I don't know if you can adjust the size of the game resolution wise. I didn't try, so I'm not sure. But I wish it was bigger by default at the very least.
I full screened it with F4 or something.
And you probably did Alt Enter, because Alt F4 restarts your computer.
No, I mean just F4. It's
okay.
This thing is made with Multimedia Fusion, and me playing Multimedia Fusion games all my life, I just remember F4 is full screen always.
Gotcha. There's a little like nugget in the brain that kind of remembers something like that from days of yore. So
yep, because F4 is full screen, F1 is new game, F2 is pass passwords in F3 or something like character inputs
debug or something.
Yeah. So that's most games from that thing. But
the gamepad would do wonders for this kind of game. Again, I found myself having to use my keyboard. Not impossible, but definitely not the preferred thing. I'm too spoiled. I need to have buttons for my thumbs. My thumbsies, you guys. I can't do the thing with the keyboard unless it's WASD, and none of these games so far have been WASD. So,
if you're looking for a gamepad, I could point you in the right direction. I'm going to eat this podcast.
We have 2 more games to talk about. I'm pretty certain. Isn't there just 2 more games left to talk about? I think.
Well, I have Core Engine, and that's about it.
Oh yeah, a little engine, huh? It's like Mania.
Yeah. Like I wrote down, pretty much a 1-for-1 Mania-based engine for Sonic. It's like, here's the deal. It's spectacular to me, and that fan games for Sonic are able to get this far and be this pristine versus how it used to be. But because they are quite abundant and modding is a thing, it's somehow not quite as groundbreaking as I think it would have been like 3 or 4 years ago. You know? It's pretty much just Sonic as he exists, as I expect him to exist. And I guess it's just I'm spoiled by the avalanche of engines that have come out. You know, the Worlds engine, the Core engine, the Unity engine, all this stuff like that. It's like, you know, you've seen one, you've seen them all, especially if they all get right up there with that grade A level of quality that you would expect from professional.
Right, and on the angle of a slightly like brighter side for the sake of it, it's another engine made for another program. So if you know one program language, then you at least almost for certain for like a game engine that you understand the programming language for, you're going to have a nearly 1-1 accurate Sonic engine that you can work with. So that's good. Just overall, just a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sonic engines, we have 2 final games to speak of. And these games are fairly big in comparison to the other ones. May I bring up Sonic Project Hero?
Okay, this one. Yeah. This one. Did I write notes for this one? I certainly did. Okay, so you might have more to say versus me, because once again, I guess I'm the kind of person that doesn't quite sit on engine tests as much as the other persons in the equation would.
Right.
But as engine tests go, incredibly clean. Actually, wait, I should start this off by saying, as far as engine tests go, I almost couldn't play it, because apparently, if you have something installed that's called like V-Control in your device manager for your Windows machine, usually Windows 10 probably, then when you start the game up, all that happens is that the camera just spins around your character forever. And I know, these character models, they're slick. And they look good, and I love that they look as good as they do, but so did the camera, and that's all it wanted to show me. So I almost couldn't get to play the game, because that's literally what the focus of the engine test was for me, until I discovered that I had to disable this one device in like a USB or human input device or something like that in order to get it to stop, because unplugging the keyboard didn't do it, unplugging my controller didn't do it, unplugging everything like my tablet and my microphone didn't do it. So it had to be something internal that I wasn't looking at, and I found the one thing that could have done it. Disabling it, rebooting the computer, I was able to actually play the engine for heck's sake. So by the time I got to play it, yes, as engine tests go, clean, fun to move, fun to attack, fun to jump. The neat things about this is that you can switch between characters, so it's not just Sonic. You get Tails and you get Knuckles. Knuckles, I think, was a little bit more fun for me to play, because Tails, he gets like they try to do the 06 thing where he gets this bomb chucking move, and it's really weird and awkward, and I feel like it would be a lot better if it was easy to move while moving, easy to use while moving around, and like give it a homing aspect or something, because you can't aim it, you just kind of hurl it and hope it goes somewhere, while it also makes you stop. So I didn't really like playing with Tails all that much. I will say the other fun addition they gave you was they gave you extreme gear to ride around in. I hit the button and suddenly I was on a board, and I was just like, oh, I remember this. Yeah. And there you go. And the only thing that I really sincerely wish was that there was an actual level that I could run around in. Oh,
Right.
You could also be Super Sonic, Super Tails, Super Knuckles with the press of a button. But that I didn't play around with it too much to really see if it added anything other than feed. But you know, that was my experience.
Yeah. So, Project Hero. It's an engine that I've been watching for a very long time, made by the guy, Hero, as he just randomly dropped it for Stage 2019. Around near the end of Stage 2019, he just decided, hey guys, I guess you should have a taste of this, because it's been sitting around for months now, and it gained a huge amount of attention earlier in the year because everybody was fawning over it like crazy. It got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. People were going ape poop over it. This engine's really good. I'm very happy with it. I do think it rings a little bit true of what I said before about how Sonic GT is a little fast. This game's also a little fast. It's not, but this one's less fast than GT.
It is a slightly more controlled fast. I will say that absolutely. Because it's fast and it's boosty, not boosty, but it's fast in that sense. But I didn't ever feel like I was, flying off at 45-degree angles because I tripped over a bug.
Right. Though it is still a little fast for what I personally would really want out of a Sonic game. But what it does do well, and by well I mean amazingly, is just that it captures the best essence of classic, adventure, and modern Sonic all in one go, and that's wonderful. The presentation in that thing is immaculate. The way that they were able to make such polished visual design for Project Hero is amazing. It really does. If it weren't in just a test map, it would look like an actual Sega released game.
Yeah, I agree.
It's wildly impressive, like incredible how to the T they got the lighting and the effects and the animation and the fluidity, all of it just down. It's so impressive. Such a masterclass in presentation as far as fan games go. That is unparalleled as of yet.
I think they even got the model for Eggman right, because I know exporting those models aren't easy, especially when you have something like his mustache, which tends to vanish at certain visual points if you don't do it right. So I didn't notice anything like that when I ran across him in the test map. He was just kind of there and actually, looked the part with no real visual oddities. So I was actually like, wow.
Wildly impressive, like visually and presentation wise. Gameplay wise, very solid. Like I said, it's a little bit fast and it's a little easy to fly off the handle too. It's not nearly as bad, I think, as the bumper engine / hedge physics, whatever you want to call that. But it does kind of have that same kind of feel, just a little bit. It's a little loose. That said, it's a blast to play, and I had a lot of fun with it. I would love to see a test. I would like to see something past a test map for this. I'd like to see a full level. Thankfully, I know that they are at work on that.
Cool.
So we will see that, and it's going to be pretty dope. I'm looking forward to it. However, there is one game I'm looking forward to just a tad more.
What would that be, Azu?
Oh, a little game called Sonic Islands. I'm not biased. What do you think? You call me biased. You call me. That's really funny that you're calling me biased, because I am. And, because I'm working on Sonic Islands.
You are?
Well, to an extent, it's mostly the work of a single Steve Taylor. He is Steve T Games on Twitter, and he is the head programmer, designer, everything of Sonic Islands. Sonic Islands, for the people at home, is a different approach of a Sonic game in 3D. While mechanically it seeks out to do a lot of the same kind of ideas that Project Hero and other fan games try to do, which is to say, try to find an idea of how 3D Sonic can work by taking elements from the Genesis games and or adventure games and translating them into a 3D space, as well as trying to get a sense of speed, similar part of modern games. This game takes a completely different approach to its level design and gameplay philosophy. Sonic Islands is much more dedicated to making an open map type gameplay, and while on paper that usually sounds like not a good idea, because most people are like, I don't know, open world doesn't really work with Sonic, and to be fair, there's been a lot of examples that have kind of proven that it doesn't really. But Islands takes a completely different approach, and that idea is that it kind of makes these maps that are just small and constrained enough to where they feel like little micro playgrounds for you to move around in. And it's never big. It's never huge, like to the point where it's too much. Now, the test map in the most recent build is, but that's because it's a little test map. When Sonic Islands appeared at Sage last year, Sage 2018, it had the level design that I was just describing. It kind of has like a smaller map layout. It's a little bit more linear, but it loops around into itself kind of like a racetrack of sorts, and you can kind of run infinitely around and around and around it, and it always feels like you're moving forward to some extent, but it's still on a map that is kind of just open without having to necessarily move forward. The goal of Sonic Islands is to collect enough flickies, like 3D Blast a little bit, to throw into these rings and move on to the next general act of a zone. It's way different in execution, however. If you've ever played Sonic Lost World, and how in Lost World you can pick up to like 10 flickies at a time and they don't follow you, that you just take them like rings.
They just get there collected, they're added to a counter.
Yeah, and you don't drop them or anything like rings, you just get them. And then you take them over to the ring and then put them in. And there are dozens of different capsules and different enemies placed all around the maps for you to collect and to throw it into the thing and go to the next area. You also can collect Chaos Emeralds, which give you new abilities, thus extending their purpose beyond just to get supersonic at the end of a game or get the true ending to a game. They actually give you abilities in this title, many of the abilities of which are staples of other Sonic games. Islands, the way that Islands carries that is almost in a Metroid kind of way, the way you get them, and it unlocks new areas for you to go back and try to access, and in ways that you couldn't before, and it makes for very interesting level design. Islands 2018's, like, the demo from Sage 2018 for Islands was probably my favorite thing at Sage that year. I won't quite say the same for Islands at Sage this year because it was so basic, but that's because Steve is just rebuilding the engine. Apparently it wasn't optimized too terribly well for last year, so he decided to re-optimize it this year to make it the best it could be for everybody's computer before he started moving forward and adding all the other moves and new level design and all kinds of stuff like that. But since Sage has passed, after Sage, this game has started to really pick up momentum, literally, in how it is developing. As I'm kind of helping work with it, I've been doing a bunch of art for it, and got a person on board with us that's modeling and animating the new Sonic model we have going in the game, which is like a fusion between the classic and modern designs, and it's sick. And it's low poly, and we're going for a low poly, almost PS1/Saturn-esque look. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the future of everyone seeing Sonic Islands. I don't know how much time I need to really spend on talking about Sonic Islands because I don't know what the world should know about this just yet, and also I don't know how much I should really invest in Sonic Islands because I have a million things in my life to do, but a fan game is an itch that I must scratch. So the project.
Well, that was a wonderful bunch of games. I'm glad we can go over. Sage 2019 has been a blasty blast, and we hope for many, many more.
That's right. We sure do.
There's so much. I don't know if we'll be able to cover all of them, at least in orderly fashion. We may actually have to take a Sage break, just because we've gone over quite a bit, and I'm sure there's other indie type things that we can talk about, as well as other things too. But we covered a lot of ground, and we'd sit here and spin yarns all day about these games. But as we have to play some of the games first if we're going to do that. So
so we'll probably chime in now and then with updates on some other games we were able to squeeze in, because there are a lot of games, all of which you can check out at Sonic Fan Games HQ.
As well as SageExpo.org, SageExpo.org, if it's still up, I think.
I'm pretty sure it's still up. And this entire time I've been Googling the names of the games, and I quickly was able to find their pages for them, so they're all still available for you to check out. Give these guys a minute of your time to play their demos, and check out their stuff. Just, and there's plenty to play with. And again, if you have any controller issues, that's easily remedied by checking out Retrobit. Today.
Thanks, Silva. Thanks, Silva. Thanks, Silva.
Thanks, Silva. Back around. I genuinely hope we have had telemarketing music or something going over each and every single time that you have decided to bring this to our table. But no, for serious, support the mission.
Support breast cancer awareness, support Retrobit, and get yourself a delicious Sega Saturn controller to eat for dinner.
Don't eat it, because then you won't have the controller.
Eat a delicious controller from Retrobit.
If you get the Genesis one, it looks like kind of like a banana. You just for some peanut butter on it.
If you got the original, then you would have got a nice crescent roll. But I already made that joke, so cut that entire bit. Thanks everybody for coming to our podcast, and I'm glad that you actually had the patience to listen through all of these Sage games that we've been talking about for the past 3 or so episodes. And even then, we still missed a couple of games that we might still talk about sporadically, including other indie games that we may talk about in the future, because that's kind of what part of this podcast is about. It's focusing on indies.
That's right.
So, thank you for listening, and any last words from anyone?
Well, I'd like to thank everyone else for joining us. Make sure you follow us on our social channels. Go to surlyversus.media for initial, good place to start, or Twitter or Facebook, yada yada. We do if you're not listening to this on YouTube. Yeah, you having fun? If you're not listening to this on YouTube, we are on YouTube, where you can see kind of this in video format. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you. Please subscribe, ring that bell, whatever. And follow us on Twitter for updates. We try to post these every week or so. And stay tuned for more. We're still in the midst of pumping out these old live streams. They're coming out very soon. We'll start the actual new live streams where I'll be playing games live for anyone who bothers to stop by. Speaking of playing games live, Tony here also likes to occasionally live stream on his own channel.
I do that sometimes.
So Tony, tell us a bit about that, Tony.
Well, on occasion, whenever the time strikes me, the mood strikes me, or, whenever I eventually get some kind of schedule put together, I will stream video games for people's entertainment, enjoyment, and, just casual hangout, ranging from anything on my PC to the Nintendo Switch, which I play very often. In fact, I am trying to do Mario Maker every Friday, where people give me levels to play, and then I play them live, in front of the whole class.
That's right, everybody. Give him Mario Maker 2 levels to play. All the good ones, especially the Desert Bus related ones. Give him those. Don't Desert Bus games. Give him every single one.
Do not do that. I will defer them all to my associate, Azookara.
Who's that?
I feel forgotten. I'm insulted. I think it's time to end this podcast. Oh wait, I think it is. Wait, no. Tones McGroans, TONES, Mick Groans, GROANS at Twitch. That's me. That's my Twitch thing. I can't believe you almost made me forget to actually tell people where to find me.
I didn't mean to make you forget the thing. You don't go check out Tones McGroans. It is TONESMCGROANS.
Okay, Yogi Bear.
It's Twitch. We are TV, not at, twitch.tv/that. Anyways,
I'm super glad we could flex these spelling muscles this episode. Here's a final thought.
Yeah.
To live without dreams is a nightmare. Where's our next night's game?
Well, apparently this one just ready to wheel around the corner, so
we don't have time for that kind of conversation. I think we've run out of time, actually. Here's my final thought for the night.
I thought my thought was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we could just end it there, and I could say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, I had a final thought though.
What did you have? What final did you thought have?
If steaks can be so rare, then how much HP did they got? I think it's an important thing to ask whenever you're playing a food-based trading card. I've run out of content. Thank you so much for joining, everybody.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody. I am Azu. So you're just not gonna do that.
I'm Tony.
I don't know. I didn't know we did that. We never did that before. I wasn't ready.
We did it in the last episode, and you just said, "Oh, we've never done that before." So I did it again this time just to make sure that we did it.
No, I didn't.
Oh my God! Yes, we did. Anyways, I'm Azu.
I'm Tony.
I'm Silva. Say goodnight, everybody.
Say your goodbyes, Lord. You're already dead. Okay, bye.
Night.